Professor Oriol Amat is the rector of the University Pompeu Fabra. Hi, Oriol.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm introducing you. Okay, Professor Oriol Amat is the rector of the University Pompeu Fabra and professor of finance and economics and accounting. Among others, he has been the former dean of the Economics Association, president of the Catalan Association of Accounting, member of the executive committee and board of directors of the Spanish Stock Exchange Supervisor, and president of the Spanish Register of Expert Accountants. Hi, Professor Amat. Welcome to the ISE. Do you listen me right? Yes?
Yes, sure.
Okay. We see you on an enormous screen in this beautiful space of the ISE, so the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. I feel very honored being invited to this event, this Talent and Knowledge Conference in the ISE. So thank you very much for the invitation. I will provide some views about talent and intangibles and R&D, research and development. Some views from the academia, the university. Especially, I would like to focus on a couple of issues. The first one is the R&D investment, which has a strong impact on talent in organizations and in countries. And the second issue I will talk about is the financial impact of research and intangibles. These are the two topics I will deal with. And at the end, I will conclude with some proposals. When we talk about talent, talent is related to research and development. And when we talk about the research and development in Catalonia or in Spain, we could say that our country is very strong on research, especially when we talk about the basic research or research that is focused on producing articles in top international journals. This country is very strong on this. Just to give you a data which is very well known here in Catalonia, in Catalans we represent 1,000% of all the people in the earth. So of every 1,000 people in the earth, there is one person who lives in Catalonia. So we are one of each 1,000 people in the earth. But when we talk about production, research production, this means articles in top journals, we represent 100. So 1,000 of the population in the earth produces 100. So we have a production which represents 10 times the average in the world. So this means that we are very good producing research that is published in top journals. But research at the end usually has the objective of generate impact in society. For this, we need to invest in knowledge transfer. And here is when we have a lot of room to improve. So we invest a lot in research. We don't invest too much in knowledge transfer. And when we transfer the knowledge to society, to organizations, is when we can have talent in organizations and in a country. So why our impact in society in connection with research, why is so low? So it's low, especially for two reasons. One is how we provide incentives to researchers in this country. Incentives are related to the production of articles published in top journals. But there are no incentives in connection with how to make possible that this knowledge can arrive to society. So that's the first problem. So we give a lot of incentives to produce articles, but we don't have incentives in order to achieve that this knowledge arrive to society. To give you an example of what I am talking about, in universities, especially in universities, all academics are promoted to professors, full professors, depending on articles published in journals, in top journals. This is the main criteria to promote. It's what we say, publish or perish. But we don't provide incentives in connection with promotion related to knowledge transfer. A consequence of this is here, it's very common that when an academic gets an email of a top journal, academic journal, saying your paper has been accepted, well, the academic thinks that when the paper has been accepted, the work has finished. He or she can start another project that will finish with another paper published. But there are no incentive for the transfer of this knowledge to society. The second problem, the second issue I would like to focus is the financial impact of research, especially in organizations, in companies. When a company invests in R&D, a big part of this R&D will be an intangible asset. And the financial problem of intangible assets is that they are not considered as assets in the financial reporting of a company. They are considered as an expense. The consequence of this is that if imagine a company listed in a stock exchange, this company probably is interested that the revenue and also net income is as high as possible. The problem with R&D and intangibles is that all this is considered not an asset, but an expense. So when a company increases the investment in R&D, this has not a positive impact in the financial reporting of the company. So this is not a good incentive to invest more in R&D. I am talking about this second issue, the financial impact of research, because in Spain and Catalonia, after the year 2008, if you remember, we had a big world financial crisis in the year 2008. The problem is that in Spain and Catalonia, the investment in R&D, this means the investment in innovation also, has been reduced very much. This was not the case of other European countries like France, for example, the UK, Germany, Nordic countries. After the year 2008, these countries increased the investment in R&D. In Catalonia and Spain, this was not the case. After the year 2008, we have reduced a lot the investment in R&D. And the problem is that if we analyze the components of the investment in R&D, we have the public part and the private part. The public part has been maintained from the year 2008 till now. The reduction has been in the private part. Why private companies have reduced the investment in R&D? Well, one reason can be because they are facing, many companies are facing economic problems, so they reduce the first expense or investment to be reduced can be R&D. Okay? But another explanation for that is what I have mentioned, that there are no enough incentives. There are not enough incentives for R&D. And if the financial impact of R&D in the financial reporting of the firm has the problem I have mentioned, that intangibles are not recognized in the balance sheet and in the financial reporting, that's a problem. Let me explain an issue that happened to an organization, a very well-known sport organization here in Catalonia, that some years ago, this company was in bankruptcy, had a bankruptcy, a negative equity of 80 millions, according to the auditor's report. But this organization is a football club, soccer club organization. This organization had important intangibles. One of them were the players. But this club had a policy of investing in their own players instead of buying players outside. When a company invests in an intangible asset, the players in a sport club, the players, the money you invest in your players, this is an intangible asset. But this intangible asset is not recognized in your financial reporting. It's not an asset in your balance sheet. So in the example I am mentioning, that club officially was in bankruptcy, according to the auditors, but the reality was very different because the value of the players were very, very high. And there is also an important asset, which is an intangible asset in a club like the one I am talking about, and that's the brand. The brand is an asset generated internally. As is an asset that you have not bought, but you have generated internally, this asset is not recognized in the balance sheet. In the example I am talking about, while officially someone said that there was a bankruptcy of 80 million, the reality was that this club had assets, intangible assets, mainly the players and the brand, which had a value which was much higher than 1,000 million euros. But these assets were not recognized in the balance sheet. So that's the second problem I wanted to mention. And just to conclude, I have been talking about two issues that make more difficult that organizations and a country can generate talent and can invest in talent. And this is related to the investment in R&D. And to improve the investment in R&D in our country, I think that it could be good investing more in knowledge transfer. So in making possible that the knowledge generated by research arrive to society. That's the first issue I have mentioned. And the second issue is that I suggest that the information about the the investment in intangibles, in R&D, this information should be considered as an asset in the financial reporting of a firm. I think that with these two measures, the generation of talent through R&D, innovation, and so would be higher and better in this country. Thank you very much for your attention.